And the last item on the agenda is a petition sponsored by Councilor Cruz and Walsh to amend ordinance regarding interim appointments as outlined in the enclosed petition. And I don't know, do you
Sure.
Do you want to speak to that? Or I can speak to it if you want. I don't care.
Either way, would anyone like
Go ahead.
us to read the full? Well, I think it's online if anybody wants to have a look at it. But essentially, there's been just too many instances for me of interim appointments lasting a lot longer than they should. We've had some now in the city going on over 2 years now.
Right.
We've had others last well over a year. And even most disconcerting for me is we've had an appointment turned down all the way back in June 3rd, and that person is still acting in that capacity. That's 245 days ago, 8 months that this has been going on, and it's problematic. It's problematic. It's disconcerting. We do have a little statement here that I'll read for those watching. The residents of Fitchburg deserve an open and accountable process for filling vacancies in city government, including timely public posting of job openings, clarity regarding the duration of interim service, and respect for the City Council's lawful role in confirming permanent appointments. Prolonged or repeated interim designations undermine the City Council's charter-mandated authority to confirm mayoral nominees and reduce transparency in the city's hiring practices. It is also critical that high-level positions with significant legal, financial, and technical ramifications be filled with fully vetted and qualified individuals through a transparent process. Extended interim appointments create uncertainty and risk in roles that demand expertise, stability, and clear accountability. For these reasons, we filed this proposed ordinance amending limiting interim appointments to 90 days, requiring prompt public posting of vacancies, and prohibiting the renewal of interim status without express City Council approval. These reforms are necessary to restore balance between the executive and legislative branches and to uphold the checks and balances that serve the people of Fitchburg. Thank you, Madam Chair. I yield the floor.
I leave it before the committee. Council President Zarella.
Thank you. I concur in many of these concerns. I think that really this is something that we've been seeing happening a lot in a more recent time period, but it's not entirely new either.
No.
There have been extended interim appointments across pretty much every administration that I have observed, and it's always, honestly, a problem because, again, the council has a legitimate role to play in vetting appointees and signing off on them. So I think this is a very reasonable measure. I would be willing, not necessarily tonight, but between now and the final approval of the ordinance, I would be willing to consider adding a provision that allows for a supermajority override by the council, just in case of the odd circumstance where there is a legitimate reason for an interim appointment to extend. I feel it's always good to have a safety valve in these provisions.
True.
I would also suggest that we add language just for charter compliance, stipulating that this does not apply to the city solicitor or assistant city solicitor, since the council has no charter authority to regulate those positions. But overall, I think this is a good measure. I think that every administration, past, current, and future, should discipline themselves to moving promptly and briskly through the required process. And if there is, as I said, a circumstance where there may be a legitimate reason why a position can't be filled in a timely fashion, that reason needs to be publicly and transparently brought before the council for review, and we can then decide whether it is in fact a sufficient and valid reason or not.
I agree.
I yield the floor.
Okay. Councilor Starr.
I imagine that there were plenty of reasons why you two drafted this petition. is this take away from anybody serving, say, at will after their term has expired? In many cases, I'm just thinking of Conservation Commission. Once upon a time, there were several members that their terms had expired for maybe 18 months to 2 years, and they continued to serve. They just weren't reappointed. I basically just like some clarification. I know from watching a lot of the meetings last year that there was some issues with the interim titles, and I know a lot of people have continued to use those interim titles. So I will yield the floor.
Council President Zarella?
I don't want to preempt either of the ordinance's sponsors, but by my reading of it, it would not apply to those circumstances. Those are covered under a separate ordinance that stipulates that any already approved board or commission member may continue to serve after the end of their term until a successor is qualified. This would apply to people who have not ever been actually approved and confirmed by the council, but who have been appointed under the mayoral authority to designate an interim officer. Is that the understanding of the sponsors as well?
I think you hit it right on the head, Mr. President. So, may I take
Councilor Cruz?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate the feedback and the questions. I do want to answer, Mr. President. You had one regarding a stipulation, if we can extend that at any point. And in Section 3, the non-renewal of interim status, it says there that after the 90-day term has expired, they will have an opportunity to come before the council. So maybe we just need to build that language out as it stands now, and I'd welcome your legal expertise in that and building it out as we move forward. And I hope I have your support so far to pass this tonight and send it to the council as a whole later. I yield the floor. Thank you.
And I will add that when we discussed this and when we proposed this, we were looking at appointments made for paid positions within the city and not necessarily boards and commissions. And so I think that it's clear that that's a separate, because there is a provision that addresses continuing appointments for, say, the Board of Health or, some other board or commission. Yeah, Council President.
Yeah, actually, now that I think about it, I believe, I could be wrong on this, but I don't recall there being any authority to appoint interim positions for boards and commissions in the first place.
Right.
This would also apply, would also not apply, I should say, to holdovers in permanent staff positions. Like, let's say we had a
clerk.
Let's say that for whatever reason,
not a
the
city
clerk had decided to retire but agreed to stay on until his successor was qualified.
Right.
That would not disrupt our ability to allow that, as she still would have been duly confirmed.
Yeah. And I will ask, Council President, did you want to ask for an amendment to clarify that this does not pertain to the city solicitor or the assistant city solicitor? Want to wait and leave that over?
I think I would personally prefer to wait and draft up both amendments simultaneously and then bring them before the council during the second reading. Okay. But I am certainly willing to give off-the-cuff draft language if the committee would prefer at the moment.
Well, I think we can just go through the normal process. I'm comfortable with that. Meaning we'll work on it as we go through the
We'll work on it as we go through the readings. Yeah, I think that makes sense.
So motion to accept?
Second.
Motion to accept and second. Are there any objections? Seeing none, we'll take this by unanimous consent. The second item on the agenda was 013-26, and that was granted leave to withdraw. It was it was said the City Council of the City of Fitchburg votes to accept the provisions of Mass General Laws, Chapter 41, Section 110A, which authorizes public offices in the city to remain closed on any or all Saturdays as determined by the City Council, with such Saturdays to be treated in the same manner as legal holidays. That was given leave to withdraw by unanimous consent. The third item on the agenda was 01426, petition sponsored by Councilors Cruz and Walsh to amend ordinance regarding interim appointments as outlined in the enclosed petition. And the enclosed petition basically requires interim appointments to last no longer than 90 days. If there's any questions on that, I'd be more than happy to answer them, but that was the position, the petition is filed.
Councillor Green.
Yeah, my question on that is, what then is the governance or the overseer on interim positions that are in place longer than 90 days?
There's a provision in Section 3 which says an interim appointee shall not be reappointed to the same position on an interim basis once their 90-day term has expired unless expressly authorized by a vote of the City Council. So it can come before the council, and the council can extend that 90 days if given reasons that they feel are valid.
So a counselor can extend, but could they deny? And then at that point, what happens?
Deny, what do you mean, deny?
So if we were to deny an interim position that had been in place for longer than 90 days, what happens then?
At that point, I guess we would have to find.
Not funded.
Pardon me?
Not funded.
Yeah, I guess we wouldn't fund it.
At that point, the position would become vacant.
Yeah, it would become vacant.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, and to discuss that, I think that what has been happening is, and not just this administration, this has been happening for a while, where interim appointments go on and on and on. And we have someone right now in a position where the person was actually rejected by the council, and that person is still in the position.
Thank you. I yield.
Councillor Bowen.
Yeah, just to follow up on that question, if I'm pretty opposed, I'm very opposed actually to creating a vacancy if a city council votes against, if the city council votes against that. These interim appointments are critical job functions for helping this city run, and it's like pulling out like a major gear in a machine and everything comes to a halt until we can get a position filled. And I recognize the need to fill the position, but there is a need for someone to sit in that role. And so as it's written, I couldn't support it. I don't know if there's further information you have on that. That was my question, sorry.
Go ahead, you can
President,
respond.
do you mind if I respond? I guess the thinking behind this petition is to avoid the extension of an interim appointment beyond 90 days. So if you know that someone is leaving, I would suggest that the administration would have the impetus then to fill that position within the 90-day period so that there is no vacancy. Right now, what's happening is that people are appointed as an interim, and then that appointment goes on and on forever, and it basically takes away the authority of the city council to make sure that these positions are filled with qualified people, and people who are I think filling a position with anyone just to fill a position doesn't do what we want it to do. We want to make sure that these positions are filled with people who are qualified to hold the position. And that's the thinking.
Okay. I understand and respect your points on that. I just think that if part of this process, it sounds like there may be some suggestion that we need to do more to encourage filling the interim slot. But I think yanking the rug out from the position completely and stopping and halting city's operations is not the right approach. So I would encourage some revision to the amendment to that effect if possible. Thank you.
The other question I had was on 01426. I think Council Bowen has made a good point with the 90 days. Is it, is there a suggestion somewhere to not have the position become vacant after the 90 days? Because is there something we can put in it that we could have another interim appointment of a different person that might be able to fulfill the needs of that position? I don't know how, because he made a good point that you wouldn't want to stop the if it's an important function, you don't want to have it vacant if you can help it. So.
Well, I guess my feeling is if it's that important, then you would act within the 90 days.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, if there is no one who is qualified to fill that position, they can also come before the council and explain that, and it says, and the council could then extend that at that point.
Yeah, except the council may not want to extend that particular person for some unknown reason, and then we would still have that vacant position. So I don't know if there's some way we could revise it to make sure we don't, just to stipulate that we don't have a vacant position after those 90 days.
My co-presenter here is going to wait.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Vice President Cruz.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Madam Chair. As Madam Chair mentioned, in Section 3, the non-renewal of interim status, after that 90-day period, the administration will have an opportunity to come and speak to us. I don't find us to be an unreasonable group of people. They can come before us, and if there's a valid reason that this extension is needed, we can grant it if we so choose, or we can deny it. But this, for me, this is just clear guidelines, and I'll yield the floor until I have my time. But thank you, Madam Chair.
Certainly. Councilor Schultz?
I yield the floor.
Okay. Vice President Cruz?
Thank you, Mr. President. I think it's important. I have a statement here. I'm just going to read my statement. I think it's pretty clear. 1 second, please. Because I see we have some people on the fence.
I'm on the fence.
Well, this is for you then, Councilor. The residents of Fitchburg deserve an open and accountable process for filling vacancies in city government, including timely public posting of job openings, clarity regarding the duration of interim service, and respect for the city council's lawful role in confirming permanent appointments. Prolonged or repeated interim designation undermine the city council's charter-mandated authority to confirm mayoral nominees and reduce transparency in the city's hiring practices. It is also critical that high-level positions with significant legal, financial, and technical ramifications be filled with fully vetted and qualified individuals through a transparent process. Extended interim appointments create uncertainty and risk in roles that demand expertise, stability, and clear accountability. These reforms are necessary to restore balance between the executive and legislative branches and to uphold the checks and balances that serve the people of Fitchburg. Now, I'll gladly get off book and just say, we've had people in interim roles for extended periods of time, up to literal years. We've had them for literal years in interim, and interim roles are problematic for a lot of reasons. And really disconcerting is the fact that the council explicitly denied one, and that was all the way back in June. So that was 245 days ago. That's 8 months. And like I said, I don't find this to be an unreasonable body, but that's asking an unreasonable thing of this council, to pretty much just say we're going to turn a blind eye to this, and we're not going to do our jobs. We're not going to be in an accountability position that we're in. So I think this is something that we need to do. This same role has not been filled during the entire 2-year term. This was an interim appointment for the full 2-year term, going on year 3 now, of an interim appointment that was explicitly turned down by the council. That is unreasonable, but this body is not. If 90 days pass and they need an extension, we'd love to hear about it, and it'll add transparency for us and the public. We can have these conversations about why we're not getting the people that we need in these positions, and it would just create a much more transparent process, and it restores checks and balances. It allows us to do our job. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the floor.
Thank you. Councilor Brochman.
On petition 014, I think it's about time. I've been after the council president way back in the summer. Prior to that, We sat here, we all sat here, except for the new councilors that just came on board this year, January 1st, and we had a vote. And the vote was 6-5. 6-5. And we were told, when that intern came in, that it was only going to be, they were going to post the job immediately, and they were going to look around for a person to take the job, for that position. But the job never got posted, and we had the intern. The council voted on the acceptance of the intern. We felt, this council felt, by 6-5, that the person was not qualified for the job. I stand by, and I'm glad they put it in. I don't usually give them credit, but I stand by their decision to run and do it. I've been here for 10 years, and I understand some of your worries. We do have interns, but they've been on the job before, prior. Let's take Lenny Lasko. You were here when Lenny Lasko, Mr. Starr, Councilor Starr. He was here. He never came in front of the council to get appointed. He just kept on writing it up, writing it in. Never came in front of us. Not when I've been on it. He never came in front of us. And we was on it when you were here, Kevin. Council President. We just accepted that was his job. Lenny Lasko and some other positions, the same thing. And we always used to add. We used to ask the question, how come they don't come in front of us? And I was always told it was up to the mayor to do that job, not us. And that's why we left it alone. But on this particular case, I was offended by a 6-5 vote. Well, then why are we coming to an appointment and we're saying we don't want the party? We're saying that we don't want the party because they're not, I'll use qualifications-wise, and nothing happens. Why have a vote? Why have some of the rules that we have if we're not going to obey the rules that we start, we put in? This is my problem. You know, why have me vote? If you're asking my opinion on Liz Murphy, why have me vote on Liz Murphy? What sense? What does it do? I'll do what I want, when I want, and how I want. Why waste the public's time? So we can all look entertainment and say nice things to the public and say how we're working hard? I don't buy that. I took a serious vote. I felt bad, but I took my vote because I honestly believed that that party wasn't qualified.
Okay, point made.
All right, so that's why. So I will back this 100%. I think it's one of the best things I heard. Now we got accountability. We got something, the guidelines to go by. And I think Mr. Boland and Mr. Schultz are right on the fence. I think you ought to I don't think we're going to pull the plug out of the wall and say we're going to shut off electricity. It isn't going to happen. You think we're that stupid? We're not that stupid. We're going to do that. So that's why I'm for it. I think we all use common sense. I think it's the right thing for the city and makes people say, hey, I got a deadline. We got to get going on this. Let's get the people involved. Let's do our research and get it out there. If the mayor, whether it be her or him or it, comes in front of his council and say, I need more time, I think we're more than saying we will. Or make an attempt. But when you don't make an attempt and there's no attempt made, then why are we talking about it? If there was no attempt made. So, you know, I understand what you're saying, Joe, Councilor Joe Bowen, but you know what? If there's no attempt made and the help wanted sign doesn't go out and say, we're looking for this kind of a person, what's that tell you? Oh, you're going to stop the gears? Sometimes you got to stop the gears to get results. That's the way I look at it. But you got my vote. Mr. Cruz and my counselor thinks I'm going to hit her. It's all right of me. She's got my vote. So that's it. I yield the floor, sir.
Thank you. Councilor Fleming.
Yes, I have to agree with Councilor Boschman, Councilor Cruz, Councilor Walsh. I really believe that an interim position, you can find a qualified person within 3 months. Let's say you have to extend that interim. 6 months is more than enough time to find someone to being put into a position adequately. So I don't think we're asking too much. I think the administration has plenty of time to interview and get the appropriate person into a position and not let an interim position last forever. Because eventually it just becomes job security because they know it's never going to be filled. They need to know that eventually it's going to be filled with the right person. I have nothing against anybody that's an interim position right now. It's just we need to get the appropriate person in that position and not let the interim position go on and on and on. So I'll be voting in favor of this. Thank you. I yield the floor.
Thank you. I'll just make two observations. One is that, as has been observed, but I just want to reiterate it, emphasize it, as written, this ordinance would allow for one or more extensions, provided that a reason is presented to the council and the council believes the reason is good. So if there has been a diligent search and no qualified candidates have turned up, or if there was a qualified candidate teed up and that candidate fell through for whatever reason, that narrative could be presented to the council in open session or in executive session if there were some sensitive matter to be presented. And the council could then vote to say, yes, you know, we understand why you need another 90 days. But that leads directly into my second observation, which is I don't want to see vacancies either. Vacancies would be horrible for the city. However, if there is no threat of the office becoming vacant, then it essentially means that the appointment never needs to be presented to the council. I'm not saying that this administration would intentionally do that, but an administration easily could. And I always feel that it's best when crafting rules for government to craft rules that hedge against bad behavior rather than simply trusting that no bad behavior will ever occur. So imagine a future mayor. You know, it doesn't even have to be anyone that we've thought of yet. Imagine a future mayor who decides, yeah, I'm just going to make an interim appointment. They're not going to let the position go vacant, so I'll just let them stay as an interim appointment and never have to present them for approval. That would be entirely viable if there is no genuine threat of the position becoming vacant. So if we are to take seriously our obligation to vet and confirm candidates for key positions, there needs to be teeth. There needs to be an or else. If there isn't, then we're paper tigers here. We can sit and look into the camera and roar, and people can just ignore us. Again, I am not making any allegation as to the propriety of the current administration. I'm not saying this is a tactic the current administration is using. I'm speaking in hypotheticals because I feel that it would be irresponsible of us to leave a hypothetical possibility for something like that to be done, for our checks and balances to be ignored or overridden. So for that reason, I will be supporting this. I did in committee, I did recommend that we make an amendment. I don't have language for it yet, but between first and final reading, I do recommend that we make an amendment to clarify that this does not apply to the city solicitor or assistant city solicitor, as the council has no authority over those positions. But I do think it's necessary simply to ensure that there is adequate oversight. Anyone else speaking on this matter or any other matter in the Legislative Affairs Committee report? Councilor Schultz.
Yeah, I just wonder about the 90 days and the number of times that an interim appointment might come before the council and taking up the valuable council time and also valuable time for the mayor, that maybe 6 months might be a better solution. But I don't think that's been discussed at all, so I don't know at this late stage if it would, if anybody would be amenable to that. But it seems like 3 months is not a lot of time, especially if it's a key figure in the administration to find a person, a really qualified person for the position. So I would offer that as an amendment of 6 months rather than 3 months.
Is that a motion?
That's a motion.
I have a motion. Do I have a second to amend 90 days to 180 days?
Second.
Yes. I have a motion and second. Everyone who had their hands up will still be allowed to speak on the main matter. I just want to address this motion to amend first. Do I have anyone speaking on the motion to amend? Vice President Cruz.
Thank you, Mr. President. I will be voting against this extension to 6 months. I agree with the gentlelady from Ward 5. I think 90 days is an appropriate amount of time. We can always extend. I think we should set high standards in our city. And 90 days could be a challenge, but it's a high standard that we should set for ourselves. So I won't be in favor of this, and I think after the 90 days, administration, whoever it is, can always come before us and ask for 3 weeks. Maybe they've got someone out of state they've hired for the role and they're moving, and just come and speak with us, and we can always extend if need be. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the floor.
Councillor Walsh.
Thank you, Mr. President. I will not be voting for the amendment either. I think that 90 days is plenty of time to seek out a candidate and find someone who is qualified. I think right now, I think we've had interim appointments go on and on and on and on, and there's no incentive to locate a qualified person to fill that role. So I think that 90 days is perfectly acceptable, and I will not be voting for the amendment.
Councillor Fleming.
Yes, I will not be voting for the 6 months either. I believe 3 months is appropriate, and when Councillor Schultz says when it comes back to up, it's taking valuable council time, that's what we're here for. Anything we do is important to the city, and it's not taking our time. It's part of our job. Thank you. I yield the floor.
Councillor Schultz.
Well, I guess the other rationale for my 6 months, my 180 days, is that the staff, the mayoral staff, and as well as the human resources staff, is very limited. And we don't have the money to add people to help us find those qualified people. So that's why I put forth that amendment for 6 months rather than 3 months. So I will not be voting for the 3 months. Thank you.
Thank you. I think that 90 days, if it were a 90-day hard limit, I would agree that would be too short in many circumstances. But where it's 90 days renewable, I think that even if it turns out not to be an adequate time period to actually complete the process, it encourages regular updates on the process. Even if it turns out that the 90-day limit expires and the matter comes before the council, just so that we can be told we've taken these steps and we are this far along in the process, that keeps things moving. Whereas especially, and I'm speaking from personal experience, especially when you are hard pressed, when you have a lot on your plate, if you have a long time period in which to do something, it is very tempting to start near the end of the time period. Whereas having a shorter time limit or a chunk or chunks of shorter times encourages steady progress. And again, I think, speaking for myself at least, if any administration were to come before us and say, here are the steps we've taken, it's been 90 days, we're not done yet, and here's why, I would have no hesitancy in voting to extend that period as long as there was clear evidence that diligent steps had been taken. Even if it happened almost every time, if it was clear that that was because the diligent steps were taking that long almost every time, that would be okay. It's just a matter of having a window into the process and not having it be, a black box that only gets opened after 6 months. So I will not be in favor of the amendment. Anyone else wishing to speak on the amendment? Councillor Boschman.
In regards to the 90 days until 180 days, or whatever you want to call it, I'm not going to support it. Mr. Schultz, Councilor Schultz, I feel like Anthony, I feel like Beth Walsh and everybody else. I look at it this way. Usually, the department head knows when, I'll use a person that was just retired January. Oh, well, cut it off, you said?
Just let's not use specific individuals.
All right, well, I'm just giving an example. They knew he was going to retire, so they only had a whole month before that when he was going to retire to start looking for a replacement for him. He told them that he was leaving that department. He was retiring. So they had plenty of time. So there's another month. So it's not 3 months now. They got 4 months to start. So in other words, to me, I agree with Anthony and I agree with Breton and everybody else. We're just prolonging the issue that it has to be done, and we need to put something on it. So that's why I'm voting against your proposal, Councilor Schultz. Amendment.
Councillor Starr.
Thank you. I think it's Section 3 makes it very clear that we have everything in place, as many of you have already mentioned, to extend any type of appointment. So I'm not in favor of a 6-month, although I know it's well-intended.
It is.
Anyone else on the amendment? Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Councilor Bowen.
Yes.
Councilor Cragan.
No.
Vice President Cruz.
Yes. No, excuse me. Sorry.
Councilor Fleming.
No.
Councilor Green.
No.
Councilor Schultz.
Yes.
Councilor Starr.
No.
Councilor Walsh.
No.
President Zarella.
No.
And Councilor Boschman.
No.
8 to 2. So the amendment fails.
All right, amendment fails. The full report of the appointments of the Legislative Affairs Committee is still
Make a
before the
motion, we
council.
accept it?
Second.
I have a motion and second to accept the report of the Legislative Affairs Committee. On the motion, Councillor Starr.
Should we take these separately?
We can. Do you want to take all of them separately or just 014
Why don't we
separately?
take 01426 out and take the other two?
Okay, so we have before us 011 and 01326.
Motion to accept.
I have a motion and second, sorry, I have motion and second, I jumped the gun there, to accept 11 and 1326. On the motion, Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Councilor Bowen.
Yes.
Councilor Cragan.
Yes.
Vice President Cruz.
Yes.
Councilor Fleming.
Yes.
Councilor Green.
Yes.
Councilor Schultz.
Yes.
Councilor Starr.
Yes.
Councilor Walsh.
Yes.
President Zarella.
Yes.
And Councilor Boschman.
Yes.
That passes 10 members.
01426 is before the council.
Motion to
I do
approve.
have one question, Mr. President.
Second.
I'm sorry, may I ask for a withdrawal on that motion? For a question?
I'll withdraw.
Thank you, Mr. President. I did notice, and we forgot to fix in legislative affairs, the full petition that came through. There's some typos. It says dill and dilling instead of fill and filling in a few spots.
Yes.
So I think we just need to amend those typos really quickly.
That's good.
Sorry?
That's just grammatical.
Yes. I don't think we need a formal amendment just to fix an obvious clerical error. Sorry, not in the sense that it was a scrivener's error.
You want to make her feel worse?
So we will fix those in the minutes.
Very well. Thank you, Mr. President.
So motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
I have a motion and second to approve 01426. On the motion, Councilor Cragan.
Thank you. So I've been thinking about this. I've been thinking about this long and hard, and one opportunity we have with the 90 days is that unless we take the time to go into City Hall and have conversations with department heads as they are able to without, interrupting their day, but to get the backgrounding I think is necessary to do the position of City Council. This also allows the mayor, allows our HR director, and allows the department head an opportunity to really outline the specificities of the situation. Years on the school committee showed me that preschool teachers were all over the place and high school physics teachers were impossible to find. And I think with city positions, that probably holds true as well, and that there are positions that may well be unfilled for a period greater than 90 days, and that is worrying, but we are not alone in our situation. Having been to the MMA, the Mass Municipal Association conference recently, many cities are in similar situations that Fitchburg is in. And so I think I just want to say that my view on this is I am going to support it after initially thinking maybe not. But for this reason, it will give an opportunity for the mayor's office and HR and department heads to really make the case on what is going on with some of these posts, because some of them are going to be really hard to find. We were very fortunate in Commissioner Laxo. We are very fortunate in Commissioner Erickson. And they, they're wonderful, but other positions may not be filled as beautifully from people who are lifelong Fitchburg people or people who are rising within the department. So this seems like an opportunity for increased communication and clarification on our part. And I welcome always I welcome conversation. So that does it for me. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else on the motion? Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Councilor Bowen.
No.
Councilor Cragan.
Yes.
Vice President Cruz.
Yes.
Councilor Fleming.
Yes.
Councilor Green.
Yes.
Councilor Schultz.
No.
Councilor Starr.
Yes.
Councilor Walsh.
Yes.
President Zarella.
Yes.
And Councilor Boschman.
Yes.
That is 8-2.
Motion carries.